The police calls Mark and tells him his wife has been murdered. She was out with her friend Martha. They ask him to come to the crime scene immediately so they can explain more. When he gets there, they have cracked the case. Who did it? And how did the police find out? Come on, this one's really not that hard. Need another 10 seconds? Oops, there's only 5 seconds left. How did they find out? And who did it? It was Mark. The police never specified where the crime scene was. A man committed suicide by jumping from the window of a 4-story building. The super calls the police immediately. They ask him to touch nothing. When the commissioner arrives, he climbs to the last floor. He opens the window and throws a rock. He does this on every floor for each window facing the dead man. Once out, he looks at the rocks and determines this was no suicide or accident. How does the commissioner know murder was involved? Suicide or murder? How could he know? Have you figured it out? This one is hard, but you should have all the clues by now. Think. But fast. All the windows were closed. If it was really a suicide, the window would have been left open. An ice skating team coach was found dead with blood everywhere. The news was out before police arrived. He was killed with an ice skate. The police questioned a few suspects when they arrived. They started with his assistant, Thomas, who had his fingerprints on the murder weapon. I'm sorry, I had to remove the ice skate lodged in his chest. I never knew you could stab someone with this. I'm sorry, I'm shaking. I haven't spoken to anyone since the accident. Neil, the janitor. Can you imagine how long it's going to take to clean up the blood? If I had killed him, I wouldn't have stabbed him. I would have strangled him. Angela. To be honest, I wish he died sooner. He was a creep and nobody liked him. Mona. The only crime I wish to report is that my left ice skate has been stolen. I'm rather glad he died. The detective doesn't need to question anyone else. He knows who did it. What about you? Was this an ice-cold murder? Or just an accident, maybe? Who did it? It was Neil. He could not have known the ice skate had been used to stab the coach, as Thomas removed it from the body and didn't speak to anyone. A man hung himself in a room with a high ceiling. There were no windows, no furniture, and no steps. When the police opened the door, they found dead fish on the floor and a pool of water. How did the man manage to hang himself? What happened? How could he do it? You get to solve it. Now. He climbed onto a block of ice. The room was a walk-in freezer. The man had locked himself in. He hung himself because he wasn't able to face the cold. A man killed himself at his desk with a gun. Beside him, there was a cassette recorder. When the police discovered it, they pressed play and heard, "Life is too much. I can't bear it. Goodbye, cruel world." And then a gunshot. They immediately knew it wasn't suicide. How did the police know murder was involved? Instead of debating how fast these police officers are, you get to crack the case. Are you a criminal mastermind? They only had to press play. Dead people can't rewind tapes. Mr. Gently had been killed on Sunday afternoon. The police had 5 suspects to question. Bart, his wife, was reading Part 4 of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy trilogy. Gordon, the butler, was taking a shower. Todd, the chef, was prepping breakfast. Amanda, the maid, was filing the mail. Hugo, the gardener, said he was planting tomatoes. Who did it? Maybe it'd take the great mind of Douglas Adams to solve this one. All I can say is that everything is connected, but maybe someone is not as connected as the others. Who is it? Who killed Mr. Gently? It was Todd. Mr. Gently was killed in the afternoon, so why was he prepping breakfast?
The next day, Mr. Elgert is found behind the wheel of the car riddled with bullets. I know, what a shocker. I guess you could say he was fired. Gunpowder is found all around him, proving the gun was discharged at close range. And yet, no gun is found inside the car. The doors and windows are locked from the inside. And there are no bullet holes on the outside of the car. How is this possible? You know, just because you didn't like the music he put on the radio doesn't mean you had the right to fire him, nor fire on him. This does sound like overreacting. Have you tried anger management classes? The car is a convertible. You only had to shoot Mr. Elgert while the roof was open and then close it up to puzzle the police.
Are you a psychopath? You're lounging in your swanky penthouse apartment when you witness a murder in the building across the street, rear window style. Before you can call the police, you see the killer looking back at you. He's waving his bloody knife right at you in small upward motions. Why would a psychopath do that? Signaling you're next? Aiming to throw his knife at you? Or counting the floors to get to you? Or maybe he just put on some Mozart and is pretending to be a conductor. How will you survive this? You hate Mozart. Spoiler alert, you probably won't. It could be any of these. Only a psychopath would coldly count and calculate how many floors he has to climb to kill off the only witness. You. Other options are too emotionally driven. It's what normal people would do, right after savagely murdering someone. The mob tried to kill you. Classic mob. But you survived the hit and have been placed in the Witness Protection Program. Take that, mob! Too bad your cover was blown along with 4 other informants. Bang, bang, bang! You meet up with the 4 other informants, and 3 of them shoot at you thinking you were the rogue who ratted them out. A Mexican standoff ensues. You all accuse each other of being the mole. You look at the bullet holes in the wall behind you and realize the first person who shot must be the traitor. So, who shot first? You know what I think? I think Han shot first. Listen, if you watch the original theatrical cut of Star Wars from 1977, you totally see Han Solo shooting first. This isn't a riddle.
This is a fact of life. Gun number 2 shot first. The cracks from the other 2 bullets end in the crack of the first shot. Riddle me this!